Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith, Silent Bob, and all those terrible Jay and Silent Bob type pictures, man. You're listening to Drop the Mic, the only podcast that I listen to that I'm not a part of. Every podcast I listen to, I usually talk on it, but not fucking Drop the Mic. That's where I'm like, let me hear what the boys have to say. And now, we drop the mic.
Let me tell you something, man. There are black people everywhere. Remember that, okay? No place you can go in the world ain't got no black people. We was the first on this planet. I've been here a long time. And I'm from Cuba. A lot of black folks in Cuba. You wouldn't know that from being here, though. I was a wild little shorty, man. Just like you. Running around with no shoes on, when the moon was out. This one time, I run by this old lady. I was running, hollering, cutting a fool, boy. This old lady, she stopped me. She said, running around, catching a boy that light. In Moonlight, black boys look blue. You blue. That's why I gonna call you. Blue.
So your name Blue?
Nah. At some point, you gotta decide for yourself who you gonna be. Can't let nobody make that decision for you.
Welcome back to our humble San Diego podcast. We are your hosts, Wesley Swanson, Ryan Jimenez, and James Warney, and together we are Drop the Mic. This week we celebrate Pride Month with a look back on the 2016 film Moonlight. But before we dive further into the movie, let's get warmed up, shall we?
And now for a special news report. Brought to you by Drop the Mic.
How are you, fellas? Welcome back.
Doing good.
What's up?
All right, James, kick us off with some fresh pop culture news.
So Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, it looks like it opened up to $209 million worldwide. Definitely looks like it. I'm not sure if it already has, but one of the biggest animated movies of this year for sure. But they estimated it to be 80 million for its opening domestically, and it opened up to 120. So pretty. The hype from the first one definitely helped this one get those large numbers there. And have any of you guys seen that one?
I have not. I'm trying to go see it this weekend.
I totally forgot. It's basically a part one or a setting up for the third one. So just keep that in mind when you're watching it. I was kind of surprised at the end because of the fact that it is basically setting up a third one.
Oh.
And that one's supposed to be, I think it's called Beyond the Spider-Verse. But moving on, it looks like Sony may be canceling its El Muerto live action movie that was going to be led with Bad Bunny, I believe.
Okay.
No word on, at least from what I read, it didn't look like there's any reason. It's more of a rumor right now, but I'm assuming because, I don't know, maybe because Bad Bunny's with the Kardashians now, but I don't know. But yeah, I don't know if anyone was looking forward to that. I was kind of on the fence with that anyways, but yeah, that is not happening probably. And the Flash director, Andy Muschietti, it looks like he is being tapped to direct the upcoming Batman film for the new DCU. I guess Warner Brothers and DC are extremely happy with what they got from the Flash film, and he's going to be directing the new Brave and the Bold Batman movie coming out. And then with that, there's no word on. I don't believe there's a word on who would be the new Cape Crusader for this universe. But yeah, I'm excited. I like the Flash. I like his vision, and you can definitely tell that he loves Batman from the Flash, and I'm excited to see what he does with that. Thoughts on that, you guys? Are you guys a fan of Andy Muschietti?
I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but I mean, I've heard, good things about the Flash. So I mean, it's good that they're giving him kind of a second chance to go ahead at another movie, because I know this one, so much shit happened during the process of this one. So good for him. And Batman is my favorite, so the bar will be set high, because right now there's only one Batman in my heart.
So along with that, there's some news that dropped a couple days ago, actually, that the script for the Flash 2 has already been completed, and it was from writer David Leslie Johnson from Aquaman. So it looks like they already wrote a script for this. I think it's probably going to get retooled a little bit just to fit what they're setting up for the that fits along with the first one. But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, that's pretty positive news, at least, that they've already have a Flash 2 script done before it's actually even been seen publicly, aside from the couple of screeners that people have gotten to go to.
All right, Ryan, what do you got for us this week?
Okay, so according to reports, Tom Cruise, everyone's favorite actor, I know he's mine, has asked rival studios to either give up their screens for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, or to move release dates for Barbie and Oppenheimer, because I think Mission Impossible comes out 2 weeks before Oppenheimer, but Christopher Nolan, I think he got all IMAX screens for like 6 weeks after Oppenheimer opens. So nothing can be played on IMAX except for that film, which rightly so. I mean, that guy fucking eats, breathes, and lives IMAX. He shot the film on IMAX, so yeah, Tom Cruise out there wilding.
I think that's kind of a dick move by Nolan. I mean, like save some room, save some IMAX theaters for other people who, who don't just want to see Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
But, that may not be a couple of people's key, but they may prefer to see Tom Cruise running in the IMAX clarity, full speed.
I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I'm probably a little bit more excited for Mission Impossible.
Yeah, I think I'm there too. It looks like a really good movie though. Oppenheimer, both of them look really good. I'm excited for it, but yeah, I don't know. What's your thoughts on this, Wes? Nolan taking up all the IMAX screens.
I feel like that's been his shtick for a long, long time. And other, like, I'm sure you guys have heard like the beef that happened with was Tarantino and Star Wars, where they're always constantly fighting for domination over the screens, whether it be IMAX or regular, whatever. So there's nothing really new there. But I don't know. It was probably just in something in his contract or whatever. And but I think I'm with you guys both that I think Mission Impossible is gonna probably be a lot more fun than Oppenheimer.
Just a little.
But yeah, and also I'm very excited to see what Barbie's going to be all about.
Mission Impossible comes in between Barbie and Oppenheimer, right?
It's a couple weeks before. I want to say it's 2 weeks. So I think it's 2 weeks, or it might be 3. But he only gets Mission Impossible and Tom Cruise. They only get like 2 weeks in IMAX, and then they're kicked out. Parasite director Bong Joon-ho, Mickey's 17 is already being test screened the film starring Robert Pattinson isn't being released until March 29th, 2024. That's wild.
Oh wow, they're already doing screenings for that. When? Like a year out almost?
Yeah,
Wow,
more than a year. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, I'm stoked for that. Those two to get together and work. I can't wait. I have no idea what it's about. I don't know if you guys know what it's about.
No, I have no idea. This is the first news I've heard of it, actually.
Wes, you know?
I do not.
Interesting. I got a couple more pieces. So, last night, as I've been kind of talking about the last couple of weeks, fucking Tony Khan announced AEW that CM Punk will be coming back to AEW's new Saturday night wrestling show Collision. Wes and I were there when he announced it, and Wes can tell you that I screamed really loud.
He did.
And there's a mixed bag of emotions online, and even at the show, I think it was like, I want to say 70% cheers and there's 40% boos. But I'm stoked. CM Punk's probably my favorite wrestler next to Eddie and Scott Hall of all time. So I can't wait for that. Next Saturday night, get your ass in a seat and watch Collision wrestling on Saturday night.
Nice.
All right. I got two pieces for you guys. Two quick pieces. First up, in some horror news, The Leprechaun is being rebooted by Lionsgate with Vertigo Entertainment. Horror director Felipe Vargas will be taking on the project, but the main character's mainstay actor Warwick Davis is not set to return as of yet. Any thoughts on this, gentlemen?
I think that's like one of the horror franchises I'm not really, like, I've seen the first one and the second one, but that's about it.
Okay.
I've seen a handful. I know there's quite a few of them. I've seen them, like Ryan said, probably the first two. I remember seeing bits and pieces of the one where he's in like space or something, or like on the moon or some shit.
Yep. 4.
Yeah. But that's he terrified me as a child watching this at my cousin's house, because that's primarily where I watched all the scary movies I wasn't supposed to. I think we're kind of in that reboot era. At least for the last like couple of years we've been. But yeah, I'm all for it if it's good. I don't see why. I mean, hopefully they take it in a fresh direction, but don't try to change up too much. And I'm all for it. If it's good, I'm there for it.
All right. My thoughts are, I'm not really sure how something like this, because it's very kind of cheeky and how do you say, camp, like in the way that Evil Dead has always been, where it's not really taking itself seriously. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, probably not, because Ryan just said he's only seen the first two. They did already try to revive this franchise a few years back. I think in
I remember that.
2016, they did a Leprechaun Origins thing where I think it might have been straight to video deal. And then they did, in 2018, they did a direct sequel to the original with one of the directors of The Void. So I was really excited about that. And then because it was I believe a sci-fi original, you could probably guess what it ended up turning into. I don't think I've ever spoken about that movie again. But and it might be just that Warwick Davis, doesn't want to do it anymore, and it's almost like trying to do Chucky without Brad Dourif. If and when Brad Dourif isn't around anymore, Chucky will cease to be as well. And I feel like Leprechaun is definitely in that same realm, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, like James said, I hope they can take it in some new direction that maybe we haven't thought about yet, and hopefully they're successful.
Yeah.
Moving on, recently Peacock released some brand new stills of the upcoming Twisted Metal series. featuring both Nev Campbell and Thomas Hayden Church. Thoughts on this?
No, I mean, I think it looks good. I saw that clip with Sweet Tooth and Anthony Mackie's character in like the casino.
Yes.
I know a lot of people are giving shit to that scene, but I mean, they're trying to breathe life into a franchise that is nothing but cars, and obviously there's going to be cars, like, you know, action scenes and stuff like that. But I think it looks good, and I think it's Will Arnett who's doing the voice, right?
Yes.
Sweet Tooth, and then Samoa Joe, the wrestler.
Nice.
The combo works well. Like, Samoa Joe is massive, and Will Arnett his voice acting is up there with the best. So I'm excited, dude. It looks good.
I'm gonna be totally honest. I forgot this was even being made until I saw the Anthony Mackie thing, and I thought that was fake. I'm like, they're like spoofing something. This is gonna be like some like stupid ad or something, and it wasn't. And I'm like, oh, this is real. But yeah, I loved the game as a kid. Excited to see how this plays out. I've only seen the one with little teaser with Anthony Mackie. That's all I've seen. I haven't seen anything else. So I'll have to look up those other little clips that you guys are talking about.
Yeah, you're telling me that Peacock paid Nev Campbell what she wanted, but fucking Spyglass couldn't.
Hey,
I'm just saying.
It is what it is, I guess.
She do be looking good in that still too.
Yeah.
And now it's time for the weekly recommendations.
I know Wes and Ryan know that I've seen The Flash and Transformers: Rise of the Beast. Those, I believe, the Transformers is already out now, but Flash doesn't come out for another week or so. But I highly recommend going to see both of them. I'm not super familiar with the animated Transformers stuff. I'm a little familiar with it, but I know when people start talking about, this is like G1 and stuff like that, that's where people lose me. I can't tell the difference between the two, and that probably brings a lot of hate towards the podcast or just me in general. For diehard Transformers fans, I'm sorry if that offends people, but don't be so soft. It's just a cartoon. Yeah, I love the movie. I have no idea if the studios are fucking with canon or not. So for me, it's all entertainment. And with The Flash, I highly enjoyed it. I don't know how Wes feels about it. Maybe he can, if it's not his rec, then he can talk about it as well. But I thoroughly enjoyed this film. To me, it balanced brilliantly on the comedy side and the serious side of the character Flash, a lot more than we got to see in the Justice League movie, at least the Zack Snyder version. But I was really excited to see this one, and it didn't let down for me. I feel like Keaton did a great job coming back, and it's like he never missed a step coming back into the suit. And then Sasha Calle did a great job playing Supergirl or Superwoman. A fresh face with the same suit definitely looked awesome. She's a badass in this. Keaton is a badass. Ezra does a great job playing dual roles or dual Barrys in this. So definitely check that out as well when it's available to go see in theaters.
Well said. Ryan?
Thank you.
Yeah, so I have a couple. I got a good amount. A couple weeks ago, I checked out Air on it's streaming on Amazon Prime. And the Ben Affleck flick, starring Ben Affleck, Jason Bateman, Chris Tucker. I know I'm forgetting somebody, but yeah, it's fucking good. It's probably one of my favorites of the year. Check it out if you like Nike, if you like basketball. It's just a good insight on how things were in the 80s and how that deal changed everything for not just basketball but sports. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon just don't miss. And then I checked out. I finally watched Evil Dead Rise. I can tell you that it's up there in the rankings of Evil Dead movies for me. I loved everything about it. I think the only thing I have like a little bit of. I just want it to be a little longer. I know Evil Dead movies aren't what they're known for. give me a little bit more blood and guts. But other than that, I think they knocked that out of the park, and I can't wait to see what they do with this and the franchise moving forward. And I will say this right now, I think Evil Dead is probably the best pound for pound horror franchise of all time. From 1 to Army of Darkness, 2013, and this, all those movies are great, and you can make a case for all of them being fucking your favorite. I don't think another horror franchise stacks up to it.
I have not seen the new one yet, so I can't talk too much on it.
Definitely check it out. And then I've been watching. I've been kind of behind on Dark Side of the Ring episodes. I've been watching that, and if you like wrestling and want to see and hear some crazy ass stories, check that out. I think the first 2 seasons are on Tubi. I think there's a couple seasons on. What is it streaming on, Wes? Do you know?
I believe it's
the newest season.
I want to say isn't it Vice?
It's Vice?
Yeah.
But yeah, fucking so good. They do those fucking episodes so well, and even the actors they get sometimes to play the wrestlers are pretty spot on. Better than Young Rock. Some of those casting choices were garbage. And then Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, I think it's on, what is it on? Paramount Plus. It fucking rocked. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's good. The cast is good. There's a lot of, they don't rely heavily on CGI. A lot of the effects are practical. A lot of the monsters are practical. So and you can tell, and it's good. I really liked it, and fucking Hugh Grant is fucking awesome in anything he does.
I know it didn't do too well in theaters, right? It kind of underperformed.
No, I think it actually did pretty well, like decent, more decent than they thought it was gonna do. And then in overseas and in China, it destroyed. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna make.
Oh, nice. Okay, good.
Yeah, If you have Paramount Plus or get that free week subscription, it's definitely worth it. It's a good flick, good action movie. And then I binged Shiny Happy People on Amazon. It is a 4-part documentary about that Duggar family. It's like the 18 kids and counting. Check that out if you like stuff like that. It's definitely worth the watch. I think. I don't know. Wes might be just a hater or something.
Well, no, it's just, I'll say this. It's entertaining, but it's also very infuriating that people fall for that bullshit, you know?
I think that's what makes it so good, is that that they were so good at fooling everybody.
Yeah. And
so good at hiding shit in plain sight. Like, and what they were trying to do and their message was, it's insane and fucking scary. Like, that's real life fucking horror.
Yep.
That's crazy. I used to watch, me and Alyssa used to watch them like constantly.
Yeah, no. If you guys watched it, you gotta check it out. It's on Amazon Prime. It's good. It's a good watch, especially if you want something easy to binge. And it's only 4 episods, I think.
I have a couple this week. Today, even though our episode won't probably be released today, it is Bill and Ted Day. So go watch Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Go watch Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Go watch Bill and Ted Face the Music, because all of those are very fun and ridiculous films. Starring, of course, everyone's favorite Keanu Reeves.
So today's Bill and Ted Day?
Yes, sir. Look it up.
Never heard that before. That's crazy.
Yeah, look it up.
It's for a Drop the Mic Day.
It was so cool. San Dimas High School, actually, they have, one of those animated marquees out front, and they actually put up National Bill and Ted Day.
That's cool.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And now for the movie focus of the week.
All right, so this week we're talking about Moonlight. It's rated R. It's from 2016. It's a drama coming of age flick. It runs at 1 hour and 51 minutes, and it's got a well-deserved 98 on Rotten. Written and directed by Barry Jenkins, starring Alex R. Hebert, Ashton Sanders, Trevante Rhodes, Mahershala Ali, Nomi Harris, Andre Holland, Gerald Jerome, and, of course, Janelle Monáe. The film is broken up into 3 chapters displaying the various stages of the main character Chiron's life, based upon a semi-autobiographical play by Terrell Alvin McCraney, which had not been published at the time that filmmaker Barry Jenkins was introduced to the script. Looking for the next right project, reworking some of the play's layout, Jenkins worked with McCraney to adapt the film for the screen in 2013. Both Brad Pitt's Plan B Entertainment and A24 jumped on to help produce. Filming took place in various parts of Miami, Florida. Released on October 21st, 2016, the film grossed $65 million against an estimated $4 million budget, also being widely praised critically and landing itself several nominations for the Oscars as well as Golden Globes and British Academy Film Awards. Overall, Moonlight is a hauntingly perfect film. The acting, cinematography, editing, score, everything feels utterly flawless. The storytelling is masterful as we jump from 3 pivotal moments in our protagonist's life. Themes of black masculinity and love standards are present throughout and make for an absolutely heartbreaking, relatable coming-of-age drama that transcends one's sexuality or preference and ultimately displays one man's self-discovery. 5 chairs out of 5. Thank you. Let me open the floor to both of you, but have either one of you guys seen this before? I think Ryan had mentioned off air that he had not seen this yet. So this is a first screening for you, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah. This is my first time.
I've seen this one. I have it on Blu-ray. I think it's one of those movies where I bought it without seeing it in theaters and then watched it at home. But I have to apologize. I thought we were watching La La Land. I watched the
James, get out of here. Go to the corner right now. Go sit whatever corner in your room you're in right now. Go sit in that corner right now.
Oh man, I was sitting on that for a while. I was hoping no one would say it or bring it up. So I'm glad it worked. Just kidding. But no. In all seriousness, no. I've seen this. I think this is my 3rd time watching this.
Okay.
Since purchasing it, but I watched it maybe the 2 times when I first got it, and then I hadn't watched it again since yesterday. So it was fun to go back and watch this again. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. Did you see this one in theaters, Wes?
I can't remember, but I'm gonna say no. I don't think I caught it in theaters, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, well, I do have so this was your pick, right, Wes?
Yes.
So what drove you to pick this? I'm going to ask you this question. You don't get this asked a lot, but what kind of did you pick this?
Thank you, sir. So of course, June is Pride Month, and I feel like, of course, the undertones of this film is homosexuality in a lot of ways, obviously, right? We can all agree on that. And I feel like these types of movies, or good ones, I should say, there's only a few out that come, a couple times, maybe like every couple of decades, if that makes sense, where they're like truly stand out. You know what I'm saying? Like like in the essence of like Brokeback Mountain and stuff, like where these films manage to break into the mainstream and tell just an outstanding story. And the fact that this is, of course, not only dealing with gay themes, but also all of our central characters are people of color, and they all are fucking fantastic. I thought it would be just a perfect film to kind of kick off Pride Month with, because it's so shot for shot, it's just an incredible movie. It's so engaging, and it's not trying. It feels, there's certain films out there that feel like they're really trying to be art house, or they're what's the term? They're choosing style over substance. And this, especially coming from Barry Jenkins, who, he's done some shorts, some screenplay writing, but this is like his first kind of huge hit. For him to come out of the gate, so to speak, with something like this, it's so brave, and the actors that they hired all are super fucking phenomenal, and even just like this story structure, and more importantly, like I said in my write-up, it's super relatable because I can in a lot of ways relate to how Chiron was treated growing up, with how like his relationships in school, especially with his mother, his troubled relationship with his mother, and the fact that he is just super, what seems like, deprived of love throughout his childhood. And I feel like it you can tell throughout this movie how that really changes him, and he becomes very meek and very just trying to find who he is, his identity, and I can really get behind that kind of storytelling because it's a real thing. Obviously this movie is done from the Black perspective, but I feel like it the way that they went about it is very, very universal, and it's definitely I think it was probably one of my top films of that year, or of maybe the last 10 years. What did you guys think of this? How has it aged for you? And like watching it through the lens of today, do you guys feel, or I should say James, because you've seen it before, do you feel the same about it the way that you did the first time?
Yeah, definitely. You get to see Chiron's kind of transformation, but sadly, it's still very relatable. As in, times haven't changed that much from when this was released to present day. The stigmas are still around, but I think it still holds up extremely well. It's all still very relevant, like I said. And I really enjoy the way they, the director's name, Barry Jenkins, how he does it in like the 3 parts. And it's kind of, or like 3 parts. And you get the child version of him, and the older teenager, and then the adult, the man. And you get to see those kind of personas change and grow. And just the fact that when he's a little kid, his mom is already, I think it's something that he is unaware of what he is. But the rest of the community, or his mom, knows. And she's constantly berating him and belittling him. And just to have a childhood full of hate like that is extremely traumatizing. And then having your mother be an addict on top of that doesn't help. But then he kind of meets up with, or he runs into Juan, Mahershala Ali, and he kind of becomes that father figure that he didn't have growing up, for at least for the first chapter of his life. And then as a teen, we find out that he passes. But yeah, I know that was a huge pivotal moment in his life, and kind of the way I took it, it was Juan kind of trying to get him to accept who he is and to not really worry about that kind of stuff. But and then you get to see the trauma later on, how it affected him all the way to adulthood, and where he kind of admits to Kevin at the end. I know I'm skipping a lot, but I know we'll get into it as well. But he kind of admits to him, like, I've never really touched it. I've never really done anything with anybody like since you. And I thought that's it's really interesting that he puts on this persona as black, or older Chiron, as he's a drug dealer, just like how Juan was, and he kind of I'm sure he idolized him in that way, and that's what it is to be a man in his eyes. So you see this he's super fit, buff dude, and that's his way of concealing or masking his true identity, like his armor, basically. Yeah, I like I said, that's a long-winded answer to say that, but I really enjoyed this movie. I feel like it aged well. It's not really that old, but it still holds up from the last two watches from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, dude. So this was my first watch, obviously. Yeah, man, it's one of those movies that, like Wes said, it just it kind of sticks with you. And I even sitting here now and listening to you talk about it and listening to your write up, Wes, I'm still thinking about it. And it's definitely a movie that I feel like everyone needs to watch. It's one of those movies that I think should be required to watch, just because all of the different themes going on, and definitely I do love the way it shows Sharon his adolescence, right? We've all been there, and the way he feels about things and maybe questioning things, and so it's definitely relatable. And just like after when the credits started rolling, I was speechless. It's kind of a shame it took me this long to watch. It was one of those movies that I just kind of never got around to watching, and I always like, I'm gonna watch it, and never did. So I was really stoked when Wes said that this is his pick for this week. And it's crazy seeing 2016 and 20 now, and 2016 doesn't feel that far along away with everything that's happened in the world and in life from that time period. It feels like forever, but it still is it still holds up, and the message is still there. And it's kind of jumping ahead. That scene when Juan is talking to young little Sharon at the table, and he asks him, he's asking him about that word, and he asks him if he's that, and that conversation that he has with him. I'll be honest, that's when the tears started rolling, because you could see even in Juan's eyes, he wasn't his parent, he wasn't his dad, but he felt what he was feeling at that time. Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch it a couple more times. I might watch it again, probably this weekend, just so I can kind of fully digest it. But it's definitely up. It's gonna be up there, probably top 15 of my favorite of all time. And if you haven't seen it and you're listening to this, I know you guys didn't get to see it in the theaters, it is playing this weekend at Harkins. They're playing it a couple times, I think Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, nice.
So if there's a Harkins around, you can definitely go and give it some love and check it out for this month. But yeah, I just can't say anything else other than it is a fucking masterpiece. Completely right, Wes. It's one of those movies that just these type of movies don't come along often, and when they do, you need to watch them. Everyone needs to watch them, and you need to appreciate what's happening on screen, because it just doesn't feel like a movie. It's heavy
and real. The craziest thing about trying to tell a story like this and make it feel real is these characters, especially because you're having one central character being played by multiple people. They all have to be on the same page in one way or another, and they have to feel lived in. And that's what this movie gets, it's firing on all cylinders where you completely buy it the entire time. And going back to the character of Juan, or Mahershala Ali, he is so fucking good throughout this, even though he's only in chapter 1 with Little.
It's like under 10 minutes of screen time, right? It has to.
Yeah, he kills it.
And it's just, he doesn't even say a lot. Like, even that opening scene when he's walking, he gets out of his car, it's just like, he oozes like fucking just, he commands your fucking attention on screen, and it's just wild. Just like I was saying, just like that scene when they're sitting at the table, like he barely mumbles. He says a couple of words, but he's so fucking good at it that you know how like obviously I'm not a parent, right? And I don't know how he felt. I don't know how that feels, but he makes you feel that sorrow and anguish he has for those questions that he's asking at that table, especially about his mom and what he does for a living. And he wins a fucking Oscar for this film, and he, like I said, he's not even in it for 10 minutes. It's insane.
He is pretty much the although he's, like I said, he's only in the first chapter, he is the kind of martyr of the film. So obviously he passes away off screen when we start chapter 2, but his staying power and the references of his character go until the very end, pretty much.
Yeah.
But what's so powerful and what I loved about Juan's character or Ali's performance is that I think he says like his character is from Cuba, and that he came over here or whatever. So seeing this, this huge guy who you think would be the exact kind of opposite of how he is, this archetype, and be so, take little under his wing and try to diffuse him and show him the correct way of being and not let Little or Chiron fall victim into these kind of tropes of that people are expected to live up to, and try to be himself and to have a role model, even though of course he's a drug dealer, which he seems he's not proud about or whatever, but just being the compassion in Little's life was very important to the story, and I feel like that's completely playing against what a lot of people in that situation would have done, where he's like, it doesn't matter if you're gay or not, they can't call you the F word or whatever. You can tell that he's trying to show compassion and show love and give him what he's not getting at home because his mom is like addicted to crack. And when you get into family members not being 100% there because of their own addictions, it plays into the psychology of that child. So Juan does a great job of being there as this kind of person to reason with Little in a lot of ways, and that's why he doesn't need a lot of screen time to get that across, because he's just, Mahershala is just a crazy badass actor, Yeah. But I will say this, going into chapter 2 and when we meet Ashton Sanders as the kind of teenage Chiron, holy shit, this kid is a gem. I feel like he's been around for a while now. He plays RZA in the Wu-Tang American Saga.
Yeah.
Hulu, and I've loved him. Everything that he's done is solid. I feel like he should be bigger than he is. He's not really talked about as much as I would like. I feel like he's every bit as good as Lakeith Stanfield, but for some reason I don't feel like he has that star power that he should, especially giving this incredible performance that gives everybody a run for their money in Moonlight, right? To me, he's like a huge standout with what goes on in the high school and his kind of portrayal of Chiron, especially reading into the research a little bit, that Barry Jenkins did not let any of these three actors meet up with each other or hang out or have any kind of association with each other for fear of them kind of in trying to, how do you say,
influence one another?
Yes, exactly. So what you're seeing is them just giving their raw kind of actor's portrayal of a character with no kind of context whatsoever from any of the other chapters, which is so impressive because like I said at the top of the show, I feel like you don't feel like it's a new actor. You don't feel cheated, or it doesn't feel weird or stilted. It
Right.
just flows.
Like a clean continuation of that character's life.
Yeah. Especially with the whole, I feel like they use water a lot as a kind of motif throughout this, and it's so expertly done. Like just the editing where Chiron kind of puts his face in the and what looks like, I think it's like a bathroom sink full of water, ice water, to kind of relax him or whatever, his face, and that's the kind of transition that they use a lot through this, and it looks so good.
And we get in the second act, we get the relationship, his friendship with Kevin, who he's been friends with since childhood, right?
Yes.
And that's when we get later on we get the scene of them being intimate with each other at the beach, and I'm assuming this isn't Kevin's first time doing this.
Yeah,
with another man.
It seems like
that's what I took from it.
He puts on, because it goes back to kind of toxic masculinity, where men in general feel like they have to act a certain way in public.
Accepted.
Yeah, and so at school, Kevin kind of tells this outlandish story to Chiron about how he was caught by a teacher or something, like banging this girl or whatever, and it's clear he tells that story as a way to kind of be like, like I get the ladies or whatever, as a way to fit in. But then he also tells Chiron, like, but don't tell anybody about this. I know you know how to keep a secret. So it's almost like Kevin knows what Chiron is all about, and but going back to your point, yes, I think that Kevin is clearly meant to be as to look bisexual to us as viewers, but he's just very good at masking it,
Yeah, I feel like he is essentially the other side of the coin to Chiron. So he's, like you said, he's familiar with the ways of putting on that facade.
Yes.
And being more presentable as a quote unquote a masculine man in public or in the community. And Chiron hasn't until the third act, where he is not doesn't have the proper tools, I guess you would say, to do that, or how to act that a certain way. Kevin kind of turns on him and essentially beats the crap out of him.
Which is, then so they have the intimate moment one night, and then the next day at school, one of the kind of local bullies tells Kevin, like, hey, you used to be like the man in middle school or whatever, and you used to like lay people out. We're going to start doing that again. So, today, when I tell you to lay whoever out, you're going to have to do it or whatever, and kind of sizing Kevin up to see what he's going to do. And so, of course, because Chiron and this bully have history, and they really don't like each other, he kind of forces Kevin to start this kind of assault on Chiron, and for fear of retaliation and to keep up that kind of facade, as you said, Kevin makes the mistake of running with it, and he does assault, or initiates this assault against Chiron.
Yeah.
And then all of the bully's friends kind of jump in and just wail on Chiron, and it's this crazy thing. But after that, Chiron gets pulled into what I think is the principal's office, and he's kind of told, like, hey, you need to tell us who did this to you, and then we'll do something about it. And because of where Chiron comes from, he refuses basically to snitch, and he's going to, take matters into his own hands, which is probably, I would have done the same thing given in that situation.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And
sure.
So he waits, bides his time, and the next day he goes to school real quiet like, and very, very stealthy, goes into his classroom, puts his backpack down real calm, picks up a wooden chair, and just KOs this bully.
Yeah, beats the shit out of him.
With one swing, he just knocks this guy out, and it looks so fucking good on camera. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not pro-violence or anything out there, let anybody listening to this, but just the way that is shot is incredible. And then not only the one hit, but then he takes the rest of the chair. The chair breaks, and so he has a bit of a piece left in his two hands, and he hits the guy again. Before being kind of taken away by security and counselors and whatnot. And then what I think is a kind of an exaggeration, not in the movie, but in the school's retaliation against what he did, is they arrest him, which leads to Chiron, I guess, and moving to Atlanta, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From Miami to Atlanta. And then he that's where the kind of dissociation between his old life and Kevin. He stops talking to Kevin, obviously, for valid reasons. And that's when we enter chapter 3, where it's called Black, and that's because Kevin has in school, in the high school, he kind of nicknamed Chiron Black or whatever. And it's crazy because the adult Chiron, he's got to be probably, I would say, late 20s, maybe 30 years old at this time. Decade passes, right? Completely changed. He's rebuilt himself up, as he says in the film. And like you said, James, at the top of the show, he works out and he creates this kind of mask, pretty much based off of what Juan was. He's got the same rolled up do-rag, the muscles, the grills, everything. The just even, what do they call it? Trapping, which is the kind of street slang for a drug dealer. And I don't know if you guys noticed this. I thought it was a crazy detail that I didn't notice until this newest screening. But when he drives up to see, he gets a phone call from Kevin, right? Obviously, they're both older, and he says he's got his number from Juan's wife, because he wanted to see how he was. And he's like, if you're ever or Chiron tells him, like, I moved up to Atlanta, I'm in Georgia now. And Kevin tells him, like, well, if you're ever in the area, come over. Like, I'm working at a restaurant, I'll cook you up something nice or whatever, come stop by. So then, of course, Chiron pretty much immediately goes down to the restaurant to see him.
Something I thought was really interesting is that he has this kind of Chiron, or Black, has this kind of like swagger about him, like very very confident in who he is. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And as soon as he gets that call and he's kind of confronted with Kevin again, he kind of reverts back to how he was in high school, kind of that automatically breaking through that exterior that he puts up. And I just thought it was really interesting. I don't know if you guys picked up on that.
Yes. When they're having that conversation in the restaurant, and Kevin's like, I know you, man, because Chiron tells him, like, I'm a drug dealer now. Kind of just everything fell into place, and that's what I do now. That's me. And of course, Kevin's disappointed by this, and he's all, "That's not you, man. That never was you. Like, I don't know what you're doing. You're messing up." And of course, Chiron puts on that tough guy act for at least a split second, and he's all, "Man, like, you don't know me." And then Kevin gives him this look, of course, referencing that kind of intimacy that they once shared. Like, "Oh, I don't know you, huh? I don't know you." And then he breaks down that kind of barrier that Chiron had. Like, he knows the jig's up. Kevin remembers too, you know? What I was going to say earlier is that the detail is on Chiron's car when he's driving up and you see him kind of get out and he's combing his hair. He puts on a new shirt and everything. So he's like looking good or whatever. And if you look at the license plate, it says black like 315 or something like that on the license plate. So that nickname has stuck with him. For him to put that nickname that Kevin gave him like 10 or more years ago on his license plate, that shows you right there. That's like a little subtle hint of he never got over Kevin. You know, like
shows you how much he meant to him all those years.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Especially Chiron not having that, but except for Juan, the father figure, not really having love or experiencing a relationship, or, you know, the things that should come naturally to a child or a minor.
Yeah, and just the way like that dinner scene and them driving home, and just the way it ends, it's just so fucking beautiful, because it's all Chiron wanted, right? Was for someone to love him, someone to see him how he really was, like how Juan's character did. And it took all those years to finally find it, and he finally found that back in with Kevin. At least that's what I got from it at the end. And he, as Kevin's holding him, God, it's just so well done. And
so classy too. Like they're doing so much with so little, you know, like there's not a lot of dialogue. It's just, oh man, expertly crafted. And it doesn't feel like, because it was written for it was a playwright originally, but it doesn't feel stagey. Like I don't know if either one of you have seen The Whale yet, but the way it reads, I feel like you can tell 100% that it was meant for like a Broadway show. But Moonlight transcends that, and it feels cinematic the entire time. It doesn't feel like they've adapted anything. It seems like it was meant to be a movie the entire time, and in my opinion, I feel like that's just a huge feat in itself.
Hey, I'm Wilbert L. Cooper. Welcome to Vice Talks Film. I'm here with Barry Jenkins today, the director of Moonlight, an incredible film that's a coming-of-age story following a young man as he explores his sexual identity and he struggles through life in the ghetto. Well, Barry, you made a phenomenal film.
Thank you.
After seeing it in the theater, I was just kind of speechless for a minute, very meditative. What is it like to take a script like that is very much about coming to terms with your sexuality and your identity as a gay man, a gay black man? What was that like for you, adapting it and putting your voice and your mindset inside of that story?
I'm a straight man who has, I feel like, compassion and empathy, and yet that empathy is passive, you know, unless you're creating things, you know, to try to address these issues, to try to find solutions for the mistreatment that certain people undergo just for being who they are. I like to say I approach the story from a place of empathy, you know, active empathy. You know, if you're a writer and you're not writing actively about LGBTQ causes, then how much of an ally are you?
One of the strengths of this movie is the acting. It seems like everybody just brought their A game. It was incredible to watch all the different performances. What was the approach that you went in to casting, especially considering the fact that for some roles you had to cast 3 people?
When I decided the structure that I was going to tell the story in these 3 chapters, right away I was like, okay, but we're not going to try to do like a Benjamin Button where, you know, we're casting the same person, we're going to age him up and age him down. 1, we couldn't afford to do that, but also 2, I think thematically part of the point of the film was how the world can radically change these young men, you know, based on how they're responding to their environment, based on the lack of nurturing or the application of the wrong kind of nurturing, the sort of hyper masculinity. And so I wanted, you know, the character to become a different person. You know, we were going to cast different people to play this guy. We weren't looking for people who like looked like one another. I was looking for the same feeling, you know. There's this book by Walter Murch called In the Blink of an Eye. It's like one of the first books I read in film school. But it basically just talks about how in cinema, the eyes are the window into the soul. So I thought if I could find actors who, if you look in their eyes, you see the same soul, you know, you'll believe that there's a continuum. of this guy going on this journey. So that was part of it.
Can you tell me a little bit about your personal experience and what it was like growing up in Miami and how that connects to the story?
I grew up, it was kind of rough, but it was a very beautiful place, And so I think when you were a kid, you contextualize your surroundings, and we were always surrounded by this very lush green grass and these beautiful golden sunsets. Miami's a very alive place. I think of it, Ta-Nehisi Coates has this book called The Beautiful Struggle. I think of my childhood as The Beautiful Struggle. I grew up in, I think, an awesome neighborhood where some very dark things happened.
Focusing in on some of the different performances, I'm really interested in Paula, Naomi Harris, and sort of how her involvement came into this film and what the struggles might have been for you as a director, directing someone who's playing a mother who's suffering addiction, and you having had a childhood where your mother was suffering from addiction.
You're my only, and I'm your only.
Naomi is the only actor who's in all 3 chapters of the film, despite the conceit the formal conceit that we were going to tell the story of these 3 chapters and have different actors. I knew there needed to be one actor who went through the whole thing, and it felt appropriate that be the mother figure, this character Paula. I get it, a mom who's addicted to crack cocaine is not a positive image, but we had all these conversations about it, and once I explained to her how personal it was, she kind of saw through my relationship with my mom this place where she could understand the character better and where she could have empathy for someone who might succumb to that kind of ordeal. I will say, directing her, I'm a cool customer on set, With Naomi, it was different, man. It was tough because you're watching somebody basically who now starts to look like your mom and sound like your mom. Because she's this posh English woman, and yet you call action, and now she sounds like she grew up on 69th Street. And it's like, it was intense, but we got through it. It was one of the really amazing things that I feel like Terrell did for me in writing this play, which was, it was just far enough removed for me, the things he went through with his mom, that I finally felt comfortable, because I've never tackled this in my work.
You mentioned the play in Moonlight, Black Boys Look Blue. How did you come across that play, and then what was it like adapting it for the screen?
It was cool. It was this group of kids in Miami, this woman, Jillian Mayer, Lucas Leyva, they knew Terrell, and they also knew me. Terrell gave them in Moonlight, and they read it and said, well, Barry, this is not about you, but it's about you. And once I read it and I saw the same things they saw, they sort of put Terrell and I together, and that was how the whole thing kind of took off.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about the music, because one of the things that struck me with the film
I love talking about the music, bro.
It was so cool, because I read there was so many like soul songs that I recognized that were sampled by hip hop. But then I heard them in the original version, and it gave the film an almost kind of timeless vibe to me. I was wondering, like, what was going through your mind as you were selecting the songs, and was that something that you were trying to do? Because that's the impact it had on me.
It's funny, the song you're talking about, the Aretha Franklin song, One Step Ahead, people miss it, but it also plays in the first story. When he first comes home from the swimming lesson, Paula's playing it in the living room, and then it plays again on the jukebox later. In the song, it's just as home, playing with his mom playing it, as it is with him and Kevin sharing it in the diner later. And so the second song that plays in the diner, this song by Barbara Lewis, Hello Stranger, the lyrics are literally written in the screenplay. And you're not supposed to do this, but when we film the scene, the song is literally playing in the room on the jukebox. You're not supposed to do that, but I'm planting a flag. This song is in the film. Aside from that, we talked about this idea of Miami being this very hard place, but that's full of beauty, and the sort of like juxtaposition, and I think the synchronicity of telling a story and this sort of like lush imagery that also deals with these very heavy issues. I want the same thing with the music. My voice as a filmmaker has sort of been nurtured by watching a lot of like art house cinema, like French New Wave, Asian New Wave. And my favorite filmmaker is this woman, Claire Denis, and Claire uses score in her films very, very liberally, despite the fact that she's thought of as like a very austere filmmaker. And so I want an orchestral score in Moonlight, despite the fact that when we see films set in places like Liberty City, when we watch hood films, we don't think of them as having chamber orchestra scores. And so I said to the composer, this guy Nick Patel, well, we're also going to have chopped and screwed music. And so I told him what chopped and screwed was, and how by the third story there's going to be a lot of chopped and screwed music in the film. And he said, well, you know what we should do, man? We should chop and screw the orchestra. And I was like, yes, we should chop and screw the orchestra. And so as the film goes on, you're watching this film with these beautiful players, this guy on violin, this dude Tim Fain, just like playing his heart out, you know, in a chamber group. And then Nick is taking those instruments and using the same principles as DJ Screw and chopping and screwing them.
Wow.
And so the deepest bass you feel in this film is not coming out of the back of the trunk when he plays Classic Man. You know, it's somebody at the Philharmonic playing like a double bass cello.
Wow.
And Nick did a great job of taking these art house principles, you know, of chamber music and also getting it to a point where you could feel it like in your chest. So I was really happy with the music, man.
Do you feel like we're in a special or important moment right now in terms of black filmmaking or, you know, black directors, black auteurs being able to have more control and being able to put forth ideas and images that are unique to our community or our experience?
I think we are, but there's two sides of that. One, I think the fact that we're seeing this work right now means we probably were in that moment a few years ago. You know, I started this project 3 years ago with my partners, Plan B A24, and so it's great to have the spotlight on diversity in film right now, but the actual work was done before anybody was talking about these things, you know, with the people who decided to support this project and, you know, people like Ryan who made Fruitvale of his own will, you know, and Ava with Middle of Nowhere. And so I think we're seeing the fruits of that, you know, but there are so many people who aren't being celebrated, who aren't, you know, in the public eye, you know, who helped, you know, bring all these things to fruition. I think also too, you know, filmmaking, I grew up very, very poor. And there was a time when you could only make films, you know, on film with this very big equipment, you know, for a certain amount of money. And I think now the democratization of the process is bringing some of those tools further and further away from the power structures. People say, oh, this is a story we don't see very often, it's not told very often. And the way I spin that is, you know, people like myself and Terrell, you know, we grew up dirt poor with mothers who were ravaged by addiction. You know, those people don't usually get to the point where, you know, they're showing movies at the you know, the Walter Reed Theater, the New York Film Festival, or Terrell having plays at the Public, you know. And the audiences that are responding to this film aren't necessarily the people who are on the screen, and yet they're seeing these people. I think now seeing a film like this, based on the hugs that I'm getting from people, the way I have to literally hold people at the screenings of this film in places like Telluride, Colorado, I think now it's like, oh, okay, I can see that person.
Well, hey, you know, thank you so much, man. This film is a really inspiration to
pleasure,
me,
man.
and thanks for taking the time to talk
you,
and
man.
break it down.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
it's
it.
great to talk to you.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, yeah. Let's talk about that big fuck up at the Oscars that year.
I just rewatched it too before we got on the phone call. So I remember watching it as it happened.
Yeah. Can you, dude? It's just like, yo, you guys really had to do Moonlight like that, huh? Like, of all the movies, you had to fuck up on that one.
It's crazy because you get like all the directors from La La Land and everything. They're all like saying like, "Oh, thank you to my wife and my, you know, our awesome crew and everything like that." And then all of a sudden you see the guy behind the scenes with like the little headpiece, like running in between people and like grabbing the little paper that says who won. And then the director's like, "Oh, we didn't win, by the way. Moonlight, you guys won." And everyone's like, "What?" And he's like, "No, this isn't a joke. You guys won. Get up here now. Like, we didn't win this. You guys won it." I feel so bad for, not really bad, but I felt so bad for the announcers of the winners.
It was Warren Beatty and who else? He wasn't the one who messed up, right? It was the woman who messed up.
Yeah, I think I can't remember. She opened it or...
She opened it and read it, and I think it was the wrong envelope. Wasn't it like Emma Stone's Best Actress or whatever she won that year, supporting actress, whatever? And that's why she saw La La Land, and that's why she said it. Again, like Wes said, it just crazy how it had to happen to this movie, right? Like a masterpiece, once in a lifetime movie, and this shit happens to it. No, but I do got something serious I want to say. Legit serious about this topic in this month, if I can. June is Pride Month. It's something that if you call yourself an ally, you need to do something and do something now about it. So I don't know if you guys know this, but state lawmakers have introduced more anti-LGBTQ legislation this year than in the previous 5 years fucking combined, which is wild. There's 470 anti-LGBTQ bills on state dockets, and 362 of those are attacking the transgender community. So LGBTQ, the homies out there, they're literally fighting for their fucking lives. So like I said, if you call yourself an ally, find your local LGBTQ plus center, donate whatever you can. If you're not registered to vote, please go and register to vote, so we can get rid of these fucking bills and these fucking imbeciles who are making these fucking laws. I know when this episode drops, I'll link a whole bunch of stuff that you can go and register, or find a center near you that you can go and help, give your time, or give $5-10, whatever it is. But yeah, do your fucking part, because this shit is getting out of hand.
Do your part, everybody. Which one of you guys want to pick what we're going to talk about next week?
James, I think you got this one, James.
Actually, you know what? I want to do a movie that I wanted to do, but I didn't know if this is another one that's on the list. I want to do Tropic Thunder.
Oh God!
All right,
yeah,
James.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, with the stuff that Ben Stiller said recently, I guess it's relevant. So that'll be interesting. Definitely podcast worthy.
It's definitely a movie that I mean, Ben Stiller's talking about it, but I feel like it's a movie that could not be done again.
Yeah, I don't think. I think everyone's afraid of to make. All right, James. Let everybody know out there what it is we do and who we are.
Yeah, so we are Drop the Mic. We are a San Diego-based podcast. We are available on pretty much every single platform that plays a podcast. So if you can play a podcast on it, we're probably there. And if you have the time, give us a 5 stars, a positive review, share us with your friends. If you like this episode, and like I said, share us with your friends. If you want to listen to more, we have a huge catalog of other episodes to check out. Please do. There's something in there for everybody, not just Ryan Gosling. Give us a follow on Instagram. We have a Instagram. It's at @dropthemic_podcast, and a Twitter as well. It is at @dropthemicpod on Twitter.
Yes, correct.
So please follow us on both of those. You can tag us on things that you think we'd like. If you want us to do a movie that we haven't done, you can comment on our posts. We post regularly and weekly. Also, tweet us if you enjoyed the episode that we've done. If you didn't, let us know how we did, how we can get better. And if you want to, like I said, if you want us to do a movie that we haven't done yet, send us a DM or just a comment on a post. And that's it.
Well said.
Thank you.
All right, fellas. This was a lot of fun. Everybody out there, go watch Moonlight, which is streaming now on the new Max app. And until next week, this is Wesley Swanson, James Barney, Ryan Jimenez signing off, saying good fight and good night.
I need some money.
For what?
That's my business. Don't you ask me no shit like that.
I don't have no money.
No, don't lie to me, boy. I'm your mama. That bitch over there ain't no kin of ya. I'm your blood, remember? I ain't feeling good. I need something to help me out. Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
Where am I supposed to get money from?
What? Teresa ain't give you nothing. Huh? You little play mama ain't put something in your head. Give me that damn money, Sharon. Give me the damn money. Give me the damn money.
I don't have no money. Mama, come on.
Give me the damn money.
Mama, come on.
Give me the damn money.
All right.
Give me the damn money.
Here, man.
Yes, that is what I thought. I know that bitch like a hook and nowhere trick. You my child, okay? And tell that bitch she better not forget it. Go on to school. Ain't you late?